There are some people who will quit if you tell them they're going to come up on stage and get a trophy. They can't stand it. You put your hand on somebody's shoulder. Literally, that means a lot to them. There are people who, if you touch me, I will punch you in the face. To see what those are, and then you learn what those people value, and you give them that.
It requires you to do something different to stand out as an employer. People want to work for bosses that care, and people want to work for companies that treat them with respect and care about who they are and invest in them as a person, not just as a professional.
You got to upgrade your people and show them respect, pay them more money. That's what you got to do.
If your people like you, it's going to influence how they behave at your company.
Expert advice, practical tips, real-life stories. Have less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Welcome to the Cash Flow Contractor.
All right, Martin. I've made some changes recently to how we're running our teams, and it's brought up a topic, getting the most out of your team. I think it's one that's of interest to a lot of my clients right now. There's a lot of things going on there with their team. I'm sure it's always coming up with you and your clients and how they're managing their teams. So that'll be an interesting one. We've talked about this before, but morning huddles are fantastic. And I took some notes. Let me see if I can find these. But essentially, we have split into two. We used to do a weekly stand-up or a weekly huddle where we go in, we share our priority for the week. It's 30 minutes long. We've got 8 people. So we've got 8 people going around sharing their priority for the week. Everyone's working on a lot of different things. Some people don't even work with the other people on the team really that much. They're seeing them once a week. And it just wasn't making sense. And so for us, what we've done is broke it out into 2 groups of 4 that actually work together on the same things regularly. And then we moved it to every day, because on the once a week, it's hard to come up with one priority for the week when you have so many different things you've got to accomplish. And then also to only share that can feel like, well, that's my priority for the week, but I'm going to be doing a lot more than that. And then nobody can really remember it because it's once a week. And I don't know, I'm disconnected from your work. It seems vague to me. It doesn't apply to what I'm doing, right? So what we're doing now, we all jump on or 4 people jump on the Google Meet for 10 minutes. It's no longer than that. It's every single day.
Wow.
It's and then one person leads it. It's one person on the team out of the 4, and they lead it for the entire week. And when they show up, their responsibility is truly understanding what every person says is their priority for the day, what they are committing to getting done today and focusing on. Yes, there may be other things going on, but that is my commitment to get done today. And that person that's leading it is asking questions. If they don't understand it, they're asking questions until it's understood. And then as soon as the person's done, right? So Martin, you tell me your priority is to make sure the client has a clear understanding of XYZ and has a PDF in their hands by the end of the day. Well, whoever's leading it has to say that back until it's concise, it's clear, and write it down. Then they go to the next person. Okay, John, your turn. And they go to the next one. And then at the end, they recap. Okay, here's our commitments for the day. Great. Then at the end of the day, everybody sends their update into the Slack channel of, hey, this is the status of what my commitment was. If I didn't finish, here's why. If I did, feel accomplished. So that's kind of the structure of it. Every week, it'll be a new person leading of the 4. So even the junior people that they're introverted, maybe they don't lead people, they're getting to lead that meeting. And so it's pushing them a little bit. But I asked for feedback, and we still do a team meeting now, excuse me, once a week, like we did previously, the stand-ups, but now it's just a check-in. We're sharing wins and mistakes. It's not about commitments. It doesn't have to be tied to work. The wins and mistakes can be personal and professional. It's just a time for us to all connect as a team, 30 minutes. And then I can give updates on the company, on goals, on processes, whatever it is. So some feedback. One,
From your employees?
yeah, these are from the
Yeah.
employees. I made them share something that is positive, and I made them share a negative, even though the sentiment has been overwhelmingly positive so far. Um, Sets the schedule for the day and sets the tone for the day. For it was one of the positives. Streamlines communication. We get to ask questions in that first 10 minutes to start the day rather than sending messages back and forth throughout the day. These are all the positives, by the way.
Right.
I'm aware of what everyone's doing every day, and that's really helpful, is what one person said. Keeps them accountable. They have to make a commitment, and they feel the peer pressure, essentially, that I need to get this done because I said I would. Feel closer to the team, and I've gotten to know them on a more personal level. Helps focus on one thing, and I feel more accomplished at the end of the day because of that, rather than feeling like I have this overwhelming list. I'm just focused on my commitment, and once I have that done, I'm working on my other things. So yeah, those are all the positives. Negatives, one person wishes that it wasn't every single day, that it was like 3 times a week. My response to that is, we're not going to just have 3 great days of work, right? And I know it's hard, but it's 10 minutes. You can do it.
Yeah.
Leading is hard. Like it felt difficult for this person. But that's okay. Like that growth is going to require some pain, right? Someone said, I don't have much to share. And what was my response?
Well, why are you working here?
No, it was go and find something.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, they do. They just haven't prioritized.
Yeah.
Prioritized.
Well, and you know what's great is the next day they told me something they found, and it's a great thing to be working on. And yeah, maybe it contextually, it might not be the priority at that time, if something else comes up. But if you don't have something to work on, that's a great project to be working on. Then for one person, it felt like the commitments have to be really clear, and sometimes the work is really fluid based on the client. This is an account manager, and so the deliverables aren't as like buttoned up as the rest of the team.
Right.
And so it's really hard to get that commitment. But for me, that's like, well, we need to standardize some stuff for you, so it's really clear, right? And then the other one, 2 other ones, sorry. Morning interruptions. It's like it felt like it's the first thing in the morning, and so it's like, man, I really like to get settled in my spot, really get to work as I get focused. It felt like an interruption to start the day where all these things pop up. So that was interesting. I think that person probably needs a process to end the day so that they're starting on the right foot the next day.
Right.
And then the last one, sometimes the meetings go a little bit over because we get chatty, right? And so I think it just having that process of like, hey, we're coming in, whoever's leading gets it done, and then they say, hey, we are finished with this meeting. If you'd like to stay and talk, you can, but if you need to get somewhere, get out of here, right? So anyways, those are all my
And do they record that? I mean,
everyone's recorded, yeah, and notes are taken. Yep. Okay. And it gets added to. That's something that we'll be working on. It's just a company knowledge base with AI of like, hey, every single one of these meetings is talking about what we're doing, and it's an update. And if we can pair that with Slack, I mean, AI is going to have a really good understanding of our operation, of the tasks and the projects that we're working on week to week. And so we can get pretty good summaries. I can get pretty good summaries of the high level stuff just by running it through AI.
Literally how you do that, you record it like on Meet and put it into Claude or Chat and ask for, you got a query, not a query, prompt.
So sure, you could do that. That's one way to do it. You can also just have the transcripts go into a database, or a spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be fancy. Okay. But you can have it go into a database, and then you can query the database.
Okay. That's interesting. Querying the database in the database, or querying it by uploading it to, in other words, how do you get through AI into your transcripts?
Yeah. So you can connect AI to your database, right? So you could basically give ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini access to your database and say, hey, you can reference this whenever, and then you can basically just chat with it from there.
Okay. Well, curious on details here. How do you do that? In other words, I mean, you've got a database. Let's say the database.
Yeah.
Did you even talk about putting it into Excel?
Yeah, you could.
Did you say that?
Yeah. You could put it into Excel. Yep. You could
So you
have.
put all this text into Excel in a
Mhm.
cell.
Yep.
Okay, that's probably not the optimum way.
Not the optimum
But-
way, but it could work, right? Obviously, at a certain
Well, you
point,
do
it's gonna get really confusing. But essentially, AI is really good at reading Excel files or
Confusing stuff.
.csvs, right? Um, I think what I'd probably do is use a Airtable, or you could go to like Supabase, which is a database tool. But Airtable is a great one, and you essentially just use that to store all of your meetings, and then you can very easily connect your Airtable to ChatGPT or whichever one you want to use.
So we had talking about software this morning, part of this call,
Yeah,
but I'm interested in that right there because there are so many applications that I see, like employee manuals.
yeah,
You could put them in Airtable and then it becomes AI searchable,
correct. Well,
correct?
and you don't have to go to Airtable to do that, but I mean, you can. Notebook LM is fantastic. If you are
Okay.
a Google Workspace member, meaning you use Gmail for your work email, pay for I think it's like $16.50 a month instead of $8.25 a month. It's double the price. Like the entry level business starter, I think is what it's called, is $8.50, and it gets you a Gmail account. And that's what most people pay for. But if you just pay double that, which it's $8, and you're getting $8.25 more value guaranteed, you then get 2 terabytes on Google Drive, which is rather than like 30 gigs. So huge increase. And that's per employee, and it stacks across the organization. So that's a huge thing. You can record every single Google Meet that you do and get transcripts from it, and they email you the transcripts as soon as it's done processing. But then you get access to Notebook LM Pro and Gemini Pro. I'm not a huge fan of Gemini. Granted, it's updating all the time, and I haven't given it enough energy to like see if it's improved. But Notebook LM is so good. You can put in a employee manual, and you can query it, and it'll give you the answer, and then it will reference exactly where it's listed in the manual. And then you click on it and it takes you to that page.
And it's not just searching a word. It will search, how can I get a vacation around here when vacation is never mentioned?
Correct.
PTO.
Correct.
Okay. Now you couldn't do this a year ago.
I'm not positive on Notebook LM being around a year ago. I think it was, but I don't know. Today
Well,
you can
yeah.
do it. Today you can do it. Basically,
Okay.
you can use Notebook LM to give, if you have an employee manual, you can basically create the chat and give your employees just the chat. And if they have any question, they just go to that chat and it talks about the entire manual and it gives them the answer. If you wanted to create a podcast, you can create an AI podcast where there's 2 hosts, and you can make them debate something in the employee manual.
In Notebook LM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
know.
it'll-
I've done that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
people
they're crazy.
Well, the problem is people use that tool as like a gimmicky thing. Oh, look, I created a podcast on this topic. But like a real use case of this, shout out to Vlad, I know he's listening. Going for a specific license that you have to test for. You've got no time to study. You're running your business, but you've got to get this certification because it allows you to do XYZ. Take the PDF source material that you have for this, put it into
And
Notebook LM.
it's an open book test.
It is. But
Yeah, I think I know which one that is.
yeah, but even if it's open book, you got to know where to look, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you just put it into Notebook LM, you can generate 25 podcasts, one for every chapter of the book, that makes it engaging. So now on the way to the job site, you can listen to the podcast, right? You just load them onto your app, on the Notebook LM app on your phone. You listen to it while you drive. And now and it's more engaging than reading a textbook. It's going to be conversation, and you can make it a
I
deep
tell you,
dive.
I was kind of shortcutting that and say you just forget all that, go sit for the exam and bring your iPhone with you.
I don't know that you can do that. They take your phone. I'm pretty sure they literally give you like a big textbook, and it's like, good luck finding
so
it.
you got to do
Yeah.
But that the point is I got your point.
Yeah. So anyways, that's something that you can do I mean, now that if you're doing those huddles, those stand-ups every day and you're recording them, you've got so much knowledge that you can use. But even beside the point, let's say this is pre-AI. Okay. What I love about it is I'm not on any of these stand-ups. Yes, I'm responsible for leading my team ultimately, but they are very capable of leading themselves, and they are very capable of doing the things that they need to do on a daily basis without me. And so I need to entrust them with that. And then they're doing great. They're communicating more in Slack. They're on top of it. I mean, it's really great to see, and I think that they enjoy it too, right? It feels less of, okay, what are we doing as a team? And more so, hey, here's what I'm going to do today, and here's what they're going to do today. And now they all know what's going on, and they feel like they're on the team moving together. So, yeah.
And you also have transcripts and reports to look at because
Exactly.
you don't have to, but they need to think that you do.
No, they absolutely, yeah, and they know that. But I mean, I could query and I could say, hey, how is this person? What percentage of the meeting is
How
this
are you
person
doing on your
talking?
project?
How did this person lead the meetings this stand-up week versus this person? Could they have done better? Like that kind of information you can gather. So really cool stuff. So I can move on to the next thing. Do you have other questions?
Well, just one thing that people talk about is the time that's required. And it doesn't take much time, but still, what happens if people don't show up or they treat it negatively? What's your response to that? I mean, you're not having that problem. I think you're a good leader.
Yeah, I'm not having that problem. If people start not showing, we haven't run into that yet. Typically our team is telling me like, hey, I've got this going on. I've got a doctor's appointment. I'm not going to make it, whatever. And I'm fine with that. If it becomes consistent, then they shouldn't be on our team.
Okay. If we're a concrete company, pour driveways and sidewalks and parking lots, who attends the daily huddle? You got all your guys?
Your crew. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what I'm realizing is I think it should be the crews that are working together, and no more than like 5 is what I would say. Like it's got to be 5 people or less. So just split them up, and it's okay if there's just 2. If it's just 2 people together, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I've got one client who is definitely listening to this, and he's going to say, "What do you do if they don't speak English?" And that's not a joke. He's very frustrated by that.
Well, then pull out Google Translate, and there's the live transcription now on a lot of these things where you literally talk and then it says it as you're talking. So like I'm talking right now and it's saying it in Spanish with maybe a 1 or 2 second delay.
Right.
And then they speak back and it's like a 1 or 2 second delay, but go through that. And it's a great opportunity for you to, what typically happens with language, people don't speak the same language. And so they avoid each other. They avoid interaction. They avoid communication because it's painful. It's conflict. It's tension. It's hard.
Yeah.
Right. When the reality is like, you need to embrace that. Like if I have a different language than somebody, I simplify my communication so much, and they try to do the same. And then we start creating inside jokes together. And then now it's a lot easier for us to start creating inside jokes, avoiding that. It's just like, yeah, do this. Here's the plans in Spanish. But you can find the deepest connections with people that you speak a different language with because you get to the heart of the matter, right? And if you can bond over that, I only know this because I've personally spent time in many countries where I didn't speak the language and where I had to learn the language to get by, right? And how much more do you respect the guy that tries to speak to you in English whenever they meet you, even though they don't speak English?
Right.
Like,
right.
The one who shies away, you're like, come on, like, what? You're not going to try, you
I'm
know?
doing all the work here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're trying and they're trying to figure it out, it's like, yeah, like I'll be with you all day. Same thing happens when you go overseas and you go to France and you try just speaking English to everybody. They're like, you're not even going to like try to speak to me in French. But if you try, if you show that you're trying, they're like, hey, we can just speak English. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they'll bow,
I,
you know?
yeah.
So
Well,
anyways,
I know I've got some people listening that are going to be thinking fat chance with some of the guys that they're working with. Um,
don't knock it till you try it and really
I know that.
give
I
intentional
mean,
effort.
yeah. And one of the things, like on the communication thing, one of the things I talk about is you can start with 10 words,
Yeah.
back up, stay still, hit that, whatever.
Maybe so. I only know this because my mom was a language teacher for 20 years, but there's a method called, I think it's TPRS, total something response system or whatever. I don't even know the name. But essentially, she can have a group of students that are, in 10th grade speaking French by the end of the day.
Some French.
I mean, pretty good. Not, I mean, it's basic stuff, but enough to be like, oh, wow, like this person knows some
Right.
French. Like, oh my gosh, wow. And in just one day and one class, we're talking like an hour.
Right.
And all it is that you basically act out what you're saying. That's all you have to do. So when I say shovel, right, I'm like acting it out, shovel. And then you say, put down the shovel. And then you put it down and then you pick it up. And you literally act out everything that you're doing so that there's a visual understanding of what happens. And then you make them say it. Give him the shovel. Give me the shovel. Here's the shovel. Like, and you just keep going around and around and around and around. And I think if you're struggling with your bilingual team, your Spanish speaking team, I would say if you showed an effort to learn Spanish and to teach English for 10 minutes every morning before the huddle or after the huddle, I know that that's, not ideal and you've got crap to do. I totally get it. But I know that it would pay dividends and it would absolutely change the culture of your company.
I know I have people listening and they're going, right. I have a guy who we're always talking about upgrading. And I think there are people that are not going to respond to any of this. They're just, that's who they are. That's how it is. But you need to gather better people with wages and respect and learning and things like that. And we had a candidate show up that looked to be pretty good on paper and in the interview. Well, first thing, he didn't show up. He's a half hour late. So my guy had to call him. He shows up at the shop and my guy walks out and he's out there standing with all the other guys smoking dope. Do they still say dope? Smoking weed.
Yeah.
And just get the hell out of here. He goes, really? He goes, yeah, really, get the hell out of here. Gone. I mean, no.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, yeah, that's the lowest common denominator. But the answer to that ultimately, to get over the hump of always having that torturous reality every day of unreliable people and people who lose their license and people are smoking dope behind the house, and just stuff, is you got to upgrade your people and show them respect, pay them more money. You make more money because you get more work done, but it's a process. And a lot of our listeners know it's really frustrating, but it's what you got to do.
It is. And I know that these ideas that I'm throwing out here are not like super practical in the sense of we're on the job site and we've got to get stuff done and we're all hitting a deadline, all this kind of stuff. But man, I think it requires you to do something different to stand out as an employer. And people want to work for bosses that care, and people want to work for companies that treat them with respect and like care about who they are and invest in them as a person, not just as a professional. And there's absolutely things you can do as a professional to support them and pay them more, give them incentives, which we're about to talk about. But there are the small things like taking 10 minutes to teach them some English and even ask them to teach you some Spanish that would go would pay dividends in that relationship, in that connection. Right. So,
Yep.
yeah, people, it's one of the pillars of influence that we talked about with Tara Landis recently,
Yep.
where, liking someone, if you like someone, it's going to influence you. So if your people like you, it's going to influence how they behave at your company.
Yeah. And also the us moves you more towards we're on the same family, the same team. We work for the
Exactly.
company, the name on the door. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I mentioned incentivize employees just now. This is something that's been coming up where people are just tired of having to like really motivate their team all the time. And they're looking for ways to incentivize their employees. And it's a hard one because what do you incentivize? How do you measure it? How do you actually divvy it out? All that kind of stuff. Um, we've had Mike Andes on the show. We've had Will Blake on the show. They both have softwares. One's uh, per 4 Mance. The 4 is the
Yep.
number 4 instead of FOR.
Performance.io.
.io,
And
and we'll link to
the
that.
other-
And then the other one is P4P, Pay for Performance software, and we'll link to that from Mike Andes as well. But yeah, those are really great. Those are really big shifts in how you do payroll and how you track time and how you measure jobs. And I would only imagine that there's a really big setup cost to that, and maybe it's just time to really, if you're not tracking time on jobs specifically already, then you have to implement something around that to be able to do that. And you have to have a very clear identified budget and cost that you are going to give to labor for each job.
I think I've been through the process with both of them, and I think it's really pretty easy.
Oh,
But-
okay.
And it's not that huge expensive. I mean, you have to buy the app. But
Maybe
yeah.
it'd be worth
Well,
doing a demo.
ought to,
We'll have to do a demo on the show sometime.
Yeah.
Walk with someone and like literally set up a company.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Okay. So outside of that, if we're not doing pay for performance, there are other ways of incentivizing employees. So I just want to talk to you
let's say
about what
what
you
pay
think
for
about
performance-
incentivize.
Well, finding clever ways, that's not necessarily a good word, but smart ways that work, maybe
Yeah.
sometimes they're not obvious, is really hard to do. And it depends on it can be hard to do. It depends on your company. But mostly what I think about when I think about incentives is what not to do. So we start there. And what I see most often, people just give people money.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the end of the year. I gave him $500 or I gave him $5,000 or, man, he really busted his tail out there today. And you just walk over to the guy and give him $100 handshake. Right. And the problem with that is people come to expect that. There's nothing wrong with being generous, but they need to understand why they're being rewarded.
Mhm.
And that means that we've got to do some work. We've got to have clarity. They have to have clarity. We have to have a way to measure. Things that I don't like to see are where you give people more money just because they've been there longer.
Exactly.
I mean, or just because it's Christmas, like we already talked about that. That is not, we're not just doing it because, I couldn't think of a way. That's why the pay for performance and performance are such great deals, is because you set a budget for the job, a labor budget for the job, and they either get that amount or time plus time and a half, whichever's higher. So they're incentivized to to do something quickly because they get paid the same amount.
Right.
The big thing about those, though, you are perfectly aligned. In other words, you benefit if they do the job more quickly because you can do another job in the same time. And they benefit if they do the job more quickly because they either get the time off, the extra time, or they get to do another job and make more money. And it's self-driven. It's self-incentivizing. Nobody has to tell them, do this, do that.
Right.
It's positive. It's not be punished. So finding more, it's harder to find a motivational measurable, objective standard for the bookkeeper, for example, to keep. I mean, you could, that the
Yeah.
books are all cloned and closed and reconciled by the 15th of every month, no exception. But up to your question, they need to do that anyway, because that's their job. But you hit your job all the time. I mean, so that's it, is trying to find the thing that aligns your interest with their interests
Well,
and
and you also
motivate
don't
that.
want to incentivize things like um, you showed up on time 10 days in a row. You know, like that's what they're supposed to do. You don't want to do like, hey, the CRM is up to date with all your information. Like that's their job. That's part of their
Yeah.
role. And so you don't want to incentivize those things. You want to incentivize something that really ties, I think it ties to directly to profitability or revenue or whatever it is, right? That would be ideal. Um, I think you can get creative with this a little bit. Um, there's a really good example. Gosh, I'm forgetting if it's Rockefeller or um, Carnegie or one of these guys, probably Rockefeller, but he had morning or day crew and night crew in the
Oh,
factory.
yeah.
Yeah. And he would put the number of
No
how
way.
many widgets or whatever were done.
No.
Okay,
One of
you
the
tell me.
guys came, well, sorry.
You
What,
tell me the story. I don't know. This
they're
is your
smelting
your lane.
steel.
Okay.
And one of the guys in the night crew came out and drew a big 6 in chalk on the floor. Nobody told him they did 6 tons or 6 units or whatever, and it might have been 66. I don't know. Well, he just did that. Came back that night and it was 7. So the day crew. And so anyway, they got a friendly competition going, and everybody benefited. It was nothing but raw competition.
Okay, I didn't realize that it wasn't enforced by Rockefeller himself
No,
or manager.
it may have been ultimately at the end, but a guy just came out and did it. He just
Wow.
wrote down
Okay.
what they, like,
So
we had
then
a good night.
they're competing against how many they can do in the day crew, the night crew, and now production's through the
right.
roof, right? And so that's not necessarily an incentive in the terms of getting more money, but it's recognition, which is a huge incentive, which
Yeah.
is one of the biggest ones. If you can recognize somebody, that means a lot. And so,
Well, you're bringing us to the 5 love languages.
yeah,
And that may sound, there are the 5 love languages, and then there are also the 5 love languages for business. And I don't know that I can remember all of them, but
I don't know
matter of fact,
those.
I need to, you can
Look it up.
look it up while we're talking. But
Okay.
one of the things is recognition, public recognition.
Okay.
And one of the warnings with that is there are some people who will quit if you
they're
tell them they're
recognized.
going to come up on stage and get a trophy.
Yeah.
They will quit. They can't stand it. And
Yeah.
there's actually one that you got to watch out about, but it's touch. In other words, this book is real simple, short, good book. Started out with language of love between family members, but you put your hand on somebody's shoulder, right? Literally, that means a lot to them. There are people who, if you touch me, I will punch you in the face, right? So, but to see what those are, and then you learn what those people value, and you give them that. And that also is that they understand that you took the time to understand them and give them that.
Yeah.
Some people want time off, especially nowadays.
hmm
Did you see all the 5?
Yeah. So the recognition one is the words of affirmation, which is the same as the love
Okay.
languages. Then
Right.
maybe they're all the same as the love languages, which is they are. I could have given you that.
No, they are. They're just, I think they changed the touching. Anyway, they worked a little bit because there are probably a lot of people out there who don't want to have the 5 love
Yeah.
languages on their desk.
Yeah. So words of affirmation, quality time is the second one, acts of service, gifts, and then physical touch, but
That's-
symbolic gestures of connection is what they call it for business, because you don't need to be touching people. Handshakes, high fives, fist bumps, warm
Right.
greetings at events or conferences. personalized videos and messages if it's, a virtual environment. But
So
yeah,
everybody
that
listening
would have,
today as a takeaway ought to order that book. It probably costs $3
yeah,
and read it. And
it's short too.
I know,
It's a 70-page book maybe.
yeah, it's just making some points you need to be aware of. And that stuff even works with the old growly, guys got a wall up and make you scared to be around them. And a
Yeah,
lot of time you don't know what's in there, and you don't know
yeah,
why that wall's there. But
yeah.
that's a good skill for people to understand about when we're talking about incentivizing people. And I wanted to make a comment too, just in passing from earlier, but generally not equity in your company.
Oh gosh. Yeah, do not do
Okay.
that.
I mean, people do that. Now, maybe not with a guy who's working a shovel, but maybe a mid-level guy or something. They think they can't pay him or whatever it is. But number one, that's if your company's going to be a success, that's the most expensive kind of reward you can give away because it'll keep paying them 20 years after they leave the company,
Yeah.
which may not be what you intended. But the other thing is they generally, uh, I don't want this to sound bad, but generally don't understand what equity is,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I mean, they get it. I own a piece of the company. What's that mean? Well, do I have to put money in? Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. Do I get to take money out? No, we only pay out on, whatever. They just kind of like it. So what good is it? They don't really understand it. And uh, the other thing that happens with that is business owners listening here realize they can go buy a new truck, right? They're buying a new
Yeah.
truck. Well, the guy working for you may be seeing that new F-150 Platinum and think, man, there's where my money's going. He's spending on a damn truck for him. Has no idea that had nothing to do with a draw or with your salary. You paid it out of your salary like he buys his. So there's just a whole lot of there are a whole lot of good reasons to not give equity. And plus there's the literal vehicle of how you do it. What's the form? Are they members? They got stock, they
Right.
got preferred stock. Oh, well, you got 10%. Yeah, 10% of what? Like I said, it's 10%. You need to put 100,000 in. So you're going to put in 10 and you're going to put in 90. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, that's a lot of words just to say giving equity as incentive is, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, companies that are
for the guys we
public,
deal with, no. Yeah.
yeah. If you're a public
Or,
company, that's a different thing. But if you're a guy
yeah,
that's bootstrapped the company, started it, or you even got debt and now you're giving away equity. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
right.
Stop.
Yeah. And the reason people do it is because they don't have money or they think that'll be well, there are lots of reasons people do it, but it's just generally a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Quick ad break to tell you a little bit about OpenPhone. If you're a contractor that has a single cell phone, you're probably inundated with text messages and phone calls, oftentimes that you can't be responsive to or that you can't answer at all. So what's the solution? You can buy another office line with Verizon or AT&T, and you can have an iPhone that is passed around from employee to employee, depending on who's on call. But what if there's a better way? What if there's a way that you can have all your phone calls recorded to go back and listen to later, transcribed with summaries so that you can get a quick glance at what happened during the phone call, and even connect it to your CRM where all your other customer information is? OpenPhone is the perfect solution because it does just that. You're able to add all the users you need to for whoever needs to have access to the lines for your company phone. And then you can also find all of the information you need at a glance with a centralized location for all phone calls and text messages with your customers. Whether it's for marketing, for sales, or for service, OpenPhone is the perfect solution for you and your team. If you're interested, we have an offer down the show notes from OpenPhone. Please click the link down the show notes, or you can see it here on your screen to be able to find more information about OpenPhone. Thanks for listening. Back to the episode.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about incentivizing employees. I think another thing kind of goes into listening to employees, but it's software. I see people making decisions about software based on only on price. And I think it's the wrong thing to do. In this example, there's a great employee, loves this project management tool that is just, and it's a really good tool, but it's also expensive. And it's about 3-4 times more expensive than the solution that the owner went with. And the owner, their only thought was, we can't pay that much for software. But I'm meeting with this employee fairly regularly, and her job would be, and her job is, she's really good at what she does, like very, very good at, managing the project, making sure everything's accurate, all that kind of stuff. But she's doing so much manual work with this cheaper software. And the owner is just set on like, no, we're going to stick to that software. Where if she would just if the owner would upgrade her job, she would be at least twice as efficient as she currently is. And the work would be done much better if it was with the other one. And there's additional things that they're just not doing right now that they would be able to do with this software, things like automations and whatnot. And so it just comes to mind like, man, when you have a really great employee and they're really capable with tools, you want to provide them whatever they need to be able to just run. And if you're slowing them down and causing daily frustrations because of a tool, you've got to rethink it. You have to have, if there's a compelling reason like this to upgrade 3 to 4x, and we're not talking like thousands of dollars, maybe over the course of a year, sure, maybe it's $1,000 or $2,000, but on a monthly basis, we're talking $100, so it's an interesting dilemma to run into.
Are we on software now?
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Because as an incentive, of course, any system that works well, an efficient tool is an incentive to people. But
yeah,
for example, software is a problem I have. People know that I am interested in the books and how to use the books to make better decisions and more money. That's my favorite thing in coaching. I have to do all of it, but that's my favorite thing. The big thing that's blowing me up is everybody has something, Jobber or Service Titan or Cloud Nimbus, or you can name 15 more. Appfolio. Actually, that's property management. It works pretty well. But all of a sudden, one thing is, and I think you said I was correct on this, everybody calls them a CRM. Right. A lot of people call those a CRM. And from my beginnings, that's not a CRM at all.
No.
CRM was customer relationship management. It's where you stored names, associations, phone numbers, contacts, notes, tasks, things like that. So that's been folded into these other, whether we call them project management or not. They're trying to do the books. They're routing people in service stuff, record keeping on project management. And they're also doing invoicing and trying to do accounting.
Yeah.
And they're not very good at it. And by that I say, can you produce a profit? Well, it does. I don't need to go through all the whys, but they're not very good at it. So they try to have it connect to something like QuickBooks or Xero or something like that. And we just can't rely on it. I'm sure they do it if somebody competent who cares about accounting as well much as they care about project management. But it's very frustrating to me because one of the things that happened is I used to try to understand all the softwares and be able to at least talk about them.
Yeah.
I gave that up. I sent them to Khalil because there's every client I got's got something less annoying. Somebody's got a software called Less Annoying. It is a CRM.
Yeah.
I remember that name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so much, but this fundamental need of connecting activities to your tracking your activities in books gets blown up by software. So
Yeah.
I don't,
I mean, that's
it's just,
we had that conversation with I'm already forgetting his name, Foundation Repair in North Carolina, about how his integration just completely screwed him.
yeah, Chad,
Yeah.
not Chad.
But
Hang on, I got to get.
regardless, I think with software and CRM specifically, it's customer relationship management. Now, most of the time what happens is there's a tool like, let's say, Builder Trend, construction management, really good at construction management. Once you have a customer, really good. I mean, sure, it's a little bit clunky. It takes a little bit to learn, but it actually does its job pretty well from that point. But everything before the customer is infuriating. The communication aspect, it's not a customer. It's not meant to manage leads that well. They have that functionality, but it sucks. And that's typically what happens. It becomes an afterthought of the CRM capabilities of being able to nurture people, being able to have a connection with their leads and your prospects and your opportunities. That is the real CRM function, right?
Right.
Well, then you have the opposite where you have, really good CRMs, like let's say Less Annoying. Perfectly fine CRM. Not my preference, but it works. It does its job. Well, then you try to manage the project inside of there and you can't. And then in some of these CRMs, they don't connect to what your construction management or project management or field service management tool does. And so then you run into this issue, right? And so
Yeah,
it's
it's a wild west out there, like they say, bang, bang. Well, I got it hooked up this way. I got it hooked up that way. And it's very frustrating for me. And as a coach, I'm supposed to have an answer. Doesn't mean I'm supposed to know all the softwares.
Yeah.
But I need to have, so that's a resource I hate to admit, but I don't have fully fledged out yet. How to get people. And well, here's the other side of it is they've got these, when they come to me, they have 10 different softwares, but they're running on Jobber or field service management, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
But say, well, we want to change to this. They're not going to change. Well, your books are never going to be good unless we figure this out. Well, I guess they're never going to be good. I mean, they're reluctant to change once they get something set up.
Yeah. I mean, because you're dealing with habit, it's behavior change. It's like asking someone to switch from an iPhone to an Android. Like they're not going to do it.
Right.
And it's like someone, hey, you're going to start using a Mac versus a PC. Why would they not do it? Right. It's because one, Mac is a lot better, but two, it's behavior change. I'm not used to it. Right. It's a completely different user interface. It's a completely different, I have to relearn and reshape my habits and behaviors and the way that where I look for things and all that kind of stuff. It's just like whenever QuickBooks changed their user interface and you're like, what
I wrote
the
that
hell?
down. I still am. I mean, I've got like 12 companies that I track and they're all different.
Yeah.
They're all different.
It's infuriating because
what's the benefit?
You don't know the behavior. You don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like me trying to get you to start.
We do think, why did you change it? And I think they, got to be a modern look and they're trying to use some AI stuff.
Yeah.
That I'm not really that woohoo about, Anyway, don't get me going on that because I used QuickBooks since the mid-90s when it first came out.
Well, but understand this, Martin. I'm not saying that Intuit and QuickBooks got it right. You used to be a PC guy.
I know.
And I got you to change to a Mac.
I know. Yeah.
And
but
what
I
do you
can
say?
Tell the difference.
But today, what do you say?
I say I'm Mac.
Yeah. And why?
Because it works.
It works.
It's like driving a Porsche. I mean, it's simpler. It's integrated. Things all flow seamlessly together. Yeah. But that is an obvious thing that they filled a need. Well, okay. I don't know where you're going with the point.
Well, basically, my point
you got me to change 6 or 8.
My point is, if you're thinking about changing software, or Martin tells you, hey, you're using Jobber and you're running your books through it, and it absolutely is destroying your financial statements. And we have no idea what's going on inside your business. We have to integrate. We have to remove the integration with QuickBooks, and we have to start using QuickBooks in a real way. I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying,
fix the integration.
or fix the integration.
I've got one client that's very complicated, and it took 3 months and cost $15,000, but we got ServiceTitan integrated now. But it took a really talented CPA who not only understand CPA stuff, but also took the time to understand how it works in ServiceTitan, how it works in QuickBooks, and made them talk.
And that's my point right there. Don't do it yourself. Find someone that you trust. That I helped you get onto your Mac. I guided you through it. I coached you through it. I told you the one to get.
You still do. I still have to call you every now and then. What the hell is this?
I mean, when you call me, it's usually about Google Drive, or it's not Mac related. Sometimes it's Mac related, but very, very seldom. And then have someone that you can lean on, right? Just like you would have, a coach if you wanted to gain 30 pounds, right? You need a plan. You need a person to help you and guide you through it, right? That's what I would say. The other thing to recognize is that if you're trying to change, if you're trying to grow, you probably have to consider a different set of tools. If you were just a handyman and now you're going to start doing full bathroom remodels, you probably need a different set of tools. If you're going to start building custom homes, you probably need a different set of tools. If you're going to start building skyscrapers, you need a different set of tools. The same thing's happening in your business. Yes, maybe you started with just using Jobber and that's how you manage your finances, but now you've got 5 extra employees and you're bigger and you're doing more work and bigger jobs. You probably need a different set of tools. And yes, the tools are going to be a different behavior, but just because there's a different behavior, doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile. Last thing I'll say is beware of software as a silver bullet, because it's not. One, it requires work. It's going to take work to learn it. It's going to take work to maintain it. It's going to take work to actually get the benefits of it. And two, it's not going to do everything. It's not, I got Jobber and now I run my whole business through it. I'm sure you could if you really wanted to, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. You do need other things to be able to be efficient at what you're doing. And there's going to be growing pains. It's not going to make sense right away. It's not like, okay, well, we paid for this and we got it in place. No, it's going to take dedicated work to get it done. And, they say it's 21 days to establish a habit, but really it's 90 days to establish a lifestyle. And really, when we're talking about software inside of your business, it's really kind of a lifestyle, a work life, or a work style, if you will, right? It's going to take 90 days minimum of you daily using it to actually get the benefits of it. So that's my thing. And back to my point of the team member who's really great on that software, right? And it's not that they're just really good using that software, but the software is objectively better. It just costs more, right? You're going to spend so much time learning the habits of this clunky software that's not doing the things you need to do, that's requiring tons of manual work, doesn't have the features you need to be able to really grow. And just because you didn't want to pay a little bit more money. And the reality is you're going to spend so much on opportunity cost because you didn't use that software. It's going to cancel out, and not even cancel out. You're going to be at like losing money in the long run. But just because someone comes into your company and is good at a software does not mean that you bend to that software. That's not what I'm saying. If you know at the end of the day that the software is better, it's just that you don't want to pay that extra. You need to consider the opportunity costs. So anyways, I'll get off the soapbox. You had something that you wanted to say.
No. Well, from my standpoint, looking at software, I like to know what problem am I solving, or what system am I implementing that I have?
Mhm.
And I just see it a lot of times. Somebody buys a software and that tries to become how they run their company, and that's okay. Oftentimes, and there are ERPs out there we have to acknowledge that run entire companies, but you have to have an IT room full of people to fix it when it breaks and keep it running.
Right.
Most of the people who listen to us, ERP, Enterprise Resource
Program.
P.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it runs everything. Somebody comes in and, pays you for a bill, and all of a sudden all their information is on an invoice, and then it's everywhere,
Yeah. It can make
It
sense for
doesn't,
some people, but you need to, one, know what you're doing and you need to have support for it.
Yeah.
In my
and
opinion.
that was going to be my other leave
Okay.
for, I'm talking to a group in Chicago on next Wednesday
Okay.
about using books to make better decisions and more money. And the last section is called the hard part, because I tell them how to do it. The hard part, that's getting good books. Good books are exceedingly rare. Anyway, and most of the time, the reason is people try DIY. And I literally have one. My mother-in-law lost her job. She's sitting around the house. She's going to do it. Mother-in-law might be the smartest person in the world, know nothing about books. Well, how hard can it be? I can categorize things. Yeah, well, you make mistakes, and it's a profession, right? Your bookkeeper's not likely going to go out and weld circuit boards to fix your skid steer, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, not doing it DIY, recognizing that you have to have it, and then getting that person, like you said, who's coaching you, behind you, understands it, and can get it all the way through. And Todd Hagopian, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, some weeks ago, the changes that he makes in these companies that he turns around, if you go listen to him, are doing things like finding out, I saved money on the software, but now I'm putting in an extra 1,000 engineering hours, right? It's exactly what you were talking about, is what he's talking about with remarkable results.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So I think, and we'll end on this because we're getting along here, but with what you just said, I don't think about it as solving a certain problem. I think about software as a function of the business, or solving a function of the business, right? So you have however many functions in your business. And when I'm not talking about like the 4 areas of business, I would, in your operations, let's say you've got, we have to schedule things. We have to do the project management of it. We have to do the support. We have to do the billing. Like those are the functions. And ideally, you want to have a single software that covers a whole function, right? Now, sometimes there's going to be nuance to that. But for example, your accounting, you want QuickBooks. It covers the entire accounting function. It can also do your payroll. It can also do your time tracking. It can also do some other things. And so it's going to go into other functions. Then once you have a software for each function, you can work on integrating them or consider consolidating to one that's in those functions. But when you start going into sub functions for software is where you start running into trouble, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we do our invoicing through this software, but then we do our, bookkeeping in this software. And that's it, that can work, right? But if you start really knitting it down where we do email marketing here, but then we do text messaging here. And then we also do our social media posting here. And then you're getting too many softwares. Your tech stack's getting bloated, right? And so you want to consolidate inside of the functions as much as possible.
Okay, my man, I've got another podcast idea that he just gave me. We need to go through.
Yeah.
We have the ones I talk about, the 4 functions of business, but let's talk about as if we were using Kanban cards, tiles. Let's go through the functions of business that you're talking about. The various, not at this time, but in a separate episode.
We will do that. We'll go through the functions.
Really,
and then,
really valuable.
And then we'll look at the different software options that you can look at inside of there.
And just to get maybe even not the name of the software, but the type of software, CRM versus project management versus accounting versus HubSpot, which I guess we call marketing. Well, it's a CRM.
Sure. But we can do that.
Yeah, I think that would be really good because a lot of people, that's a good place to start with a lot of companies getting organized, man. What's my overall process here from the time a lead comes in or time I put out marketing all the way to the time I collect a 5-star Google review and remarket to the same person.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. That'll be the next one. Okay. So we talked about how to get the most out of your team. We talked about daily huddles, stand-ups, whatever you want to call it. We talked a little bit about how to leverage AI with those, but really just why they're beneficial, how they can add value to your team, and how they can really leverage getting your team out of their comfort zone, maybe a little bit, leading the meetings, even the junior people leading the meetings and getting better at communication and connecting as a team. We talked about incentivizing employees, about pay for performance and performance. We'll link to those. We talked about what not to incentivize for. Don't give away equity. Don't incentivize the expectations for a role like showing up on time or completing a job or whatever it is. And then we also talked about software a little bit and how that pertains to employees inside your business and a variety of other things. So, Martin, any big one things from this for you?
Yeah, I didn't know we covered all those topics. Yeah,
We covered a lot.
It's the most recent one, but it's the one that frustrates me the most is no DIY, get professionals to make your stuff work. I mean, get help.
Maybe a good one thing is, and that honestly falls into the line of the stand-ups a little bit too, but meeting, give that responsibility to somebody else, let somebody else run the daily huddles. So anyways, maybe that's a good one. Man, great to chat with you, Martin. I'll see you on the next one.
You too, man.
You made it to the end of the episode, but before you go, if you found yourself thinking about growing your construction business while listening today, I want to share something with you. It's called our 24 Things to Hiring and Training the Perfect Executive Assistant for Your Construction Business. And it's a free guide that we've created. It's not theory, it's what we actually use to help contractors hire the perfect executive assistant. And really, we help you find ways to delegate over 50% of your current workload and get back 20 hours of your time every single week. You didn't start your construction business to just be doing admin work, to be buried in paperwork and endless admin tasks. This is the guide that shows you exactly how to find and train someone who can actually take all that weight off of your shoulders. So this is a real actionable, great PDF that has templates and processes. It's really, really great. And I want you to check it out, even just to get your feedback and how we can make it even more valuable. But I know that you're gonna love it. The link is in the show notes. Please download it. We'd love to see how much of an impact it makes on you and your business. Thanks for listening to the full episode. Check out the guide. It's free. No reason to hesitate. No reason to wait. Download it now. And before you go, I just want to ask for your gracious subscription to our podcast. So if you have 2 seconds, it means the world to us. Just subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or if you'd like our weekly newsletter delivered to your inbox whenever we release an episode, please subscribe in the show notes. Every week, we're talking about real strategies on how you can grow and build a profitable construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, and more money. Click subscribe wherever you listen to the show, and thank you again for checking out the Cashflow Contractor. See you on the next episode.